Romancing the Stone Age, Evolving Views on Modern Love. Where have all the romantics gone? Maybe they just evolved. Welcome back to I4L, Information for Life, Tips to Greatness. I'm your host, Daniel Boyd, coming to you with another thought-provoking episode. Today we're diving into a topic that's been a hot button in coffee shops, online forums, and maybe even in your own living room. The theme of today's episode? Romance, or perhaps the perceived lack thereof in the modern man. It's a topic shrouded in opinions, anecdotes, and maybe a few misconceptions. So here's a provocative question to kick things off. Are men today less romantic, or are we merely viewing romance through a prehistoric lens? Is it possible that our understanding of romance has evolved, but our expectations haven't quite caught up yet? We'll explore this from different angles: psychological, evolutionary, and social. We'll sift through the stereotypes, dust off the research, and maybe, just maybe, find that the heart of romance isn't where we left it last. So buckle up, or should I say, light up those candles, and get ready for a journey through the labyrinth of dating, evolution, and the ever-changing landscape of what it means to be romantic in today's world. Section 1. Understanding generalizations in gender discussions. Now, let's start with a little story. Picture this. It's Sunday afternoon, and there's a group of guys huddled around the TV, eyes glued to the football game. The tension is palpable. Every play, every tackle, met with cheers or groans. Sounds typical, right? But here's the twist. In the corner of the room, there's Jeff. Jeff's not watching the game. Nope, he's got his eyes on something else, his latest knitting project, a lovely, intricate scarf, if you must know. This little scene is a humorous reminder that generalizations, especially about gender, are often riddled with exceptions. It's easy to say, all men love football, but then there's Jeff, happily defying the stereotype with every stitch he knits. This brings us to a crucial point made by Hyde in her 2005 study. She challenges the deep-seated notion that men and women are fundamentally different in most psychological aspects. Her gender similarities hypothesis suggests that for the most part, men and women are quite similar on a wide range of psychological variables. Think about that for a moment. While we often do focus on the differences, the research points us towards the similarities. It's a perspective that's vital in understanding that discussions about gender behaviors are about trends rather than universal truths. So next time you're about to say all men or all women do or like something, remember Jeff and his scarf. It might just be the perfect reminder that individuals often defy our generalizations, painting a far more colorful and diverse picture of humanity than we sometimes acknowledge. Before we move on, there's another essential piece of the puzzle we need to fit in. When we talk about men and women in these broad strokes, there's an underlying statistical truth we often overlook. Imagine a bell curve representing a range of behaviors or traits in men and women. Now, most discussions about gender typically, even if not explicitly stated, are about the folks in the middle of this curve, that's between the first and third quartiles. Why is this important? Well, it's about avoiding the trap of mislabeling and dismissing information due to our own biases and assumptions. By understanding that these conversations usually aren't about the outliers, we open ourselves up to insights that might just be life-changing. And here's the crucial bit. Jumping to accusation of misogyny or misandry with zero objective evidence is not just unhelpful, it's a surefire recipe for misunderstanding and failure. It's easy to slap a label on something that challenges our views in order to believe that they are wrong and we are right. But is it fair? Or more importantly, is it accurate? Most likely, it's not. So next time you hear generalizations about men and women, pause and think about that bell curve. Are we talking about the extremes, or are we in that broad, diverse middle? Understanding this can be the key to not only better conversations, but perhaps unlocking perspectives that can profoundly impact your life, your relationships, and your understanding of the world around you. Now, let's turn our attention to an eye-opening piece of research by Hyde in 2005. She introduced what's known as the gender similarities hypothesis. This isn't just a fancy term in a psychology textbook. It's a concept that could reshape how we think about gender. Hyde's hypothesis challenges a common assumption that men and women are vastly different psychologically. Instead, she proposes that men and women are more alike than they are different on most psychological variables. We're talking about things like cognitive abilities, verbal and nonverbal communication, and even psychological well-being. Imagine for a second that most of what we believe about the psychological differences between genders is more myth than reality. It's like finding out that the boogeyman under your bed was just a pile of clothes all along. The real kicker here is the danger of overgeneralization. When we latch onto these myths, we're not just misinformed, we're potentially limiting ourselves and others. We start boxing people into roles and expectations that might not fit them at all. This overgeneralization isn't just a harmless oversight, it can have real consequences. It can affect how we raise our kids, how we interact in our relationships, and even how we perceive our own abilities and potential. Hyde's research invites us to look beyond the stereotypes and to see the individual for who they truly are, not just as a representation of their gender. It's a call to recognize our shared human experiences, embrace the diversity within each gender, and appreciate the uniqueness of every individual. So the next time you hear a sweeping statement about what men or women are like, remember Hyde's hypothesis. It might just change the way you see the world and the people in it. Now, let's play a bit of devil's advocate, shall we? It's one thing to talk about psychological studies and hypotheses, but what about what we see and experience in our everyday lives? After all, direct observation is a powerful tool for understanding the world around us. Think about it. We all have our own anecdotal experiences that seem to contradict what the studies say. Perhaps you've noticed clear differences in how the men and women in your life behave and think. Maybe these differences seem as obvious as the sun in the sky. It's important to recognize that these observations aren't invalid. They're real, they're personal, and they're part of the complex tapestry of human experiences. But here's the catch. While our personal observations are valid, they're also limited. They're just a slice of the much larger human pie. Our direct experiences sometimes leads us to overgeneralize. We might see patterns in our objectively small circle and assume they apply universally. It's a natural tendency, but it's one we need to be aware of. After all, just because all the cats in your neighborhood are calico doesn't mean there aren't tiger-striped cats elsewhere. So while it's crucial to acknowledge and learn from our direct observations, it's equally important to balance them with broader perspectives. This way, we avoid the trap of assuming our slices of experience represents the whole pie. In the end, it's about blending what we see and experience with what research tells us. It's about finding that sweet spot where personal insights meet scientific understanding, giving us a more complete picture of the wonderful, diverse world we live in. At the same time, we should not dismiss other people's experiences just because we ourselves have not had those experiences. Section 2. Evolutionary Understanding of Gender Dynamics. All right, let's shift gears and talk about something that might sound like it's straight out of a wildlife documentary. I'm talking about Buss and Schmidt's sexual strategies theory from 1993. This theory takes us on a journey back to our roots, and I mean way back. Imagine the dating scene, but in the animal kingdom. You've got the peacock flashing his colorful feathers, the lion roaring to show off his might. It's all about attracting a mate in the most effective way possible, given their environment. Buss and Schmidt basically suggest that humans aren't all that different in our fundamental strategies. Their theory posits that men and women have evolved different mating strategies based on our ancestral past. It's like men are programmed to spread their genes far and wide, while women are more about finding that stable, resourceful partner. Sounds a bit like a caveman version of a dating app, doesn't it? Now, before we start painting all men as promiscuous and all women as choosy, let's remember, this is an evolutionary perspective. It's about understanding the underlying motivations that might have been advantageous in our early human history. But here's the twist. We're not just products of our evolutionary past. Ingley and Wood in 2013 reminded us that the nature-nurture debate is still very much alive. They argue that our biology is just one piece of the puzzle. Culture, society, personal experiences, they all play a massive role in shaping who we are and how we behave in the realm of romance and beyond. So, while it's fascinating to think about how our Stone Age past might influence our Tinder swipes, it's important to remember that we're complex beings living in a world that's far different from that of our ancestors. Now, let's add another layer to this evolutionary cake. Picture this, a mock debate show. nature versus nurture, the ultimate showdown. On one side, we have Mother Nature, draped in leaves and twigs, championing our biological instincts.
Hi, I'm Mother Nature.
On the other, there's nurture, wearing a modern suit, waving a sociology textbook. Mother Nature.
Humans are creatures of evolution. Men are wired to spread their genes, and women to seek the best providers.
Nurture. Okay, hold on. We're not just walking DNA strands. Culture, society, and education, these shape us just as much, if not more. This humorous scenario isn't far from the discussions Eagly and Wood brought to the table in 2013. They dive into the nature-nurture debates, challenging the view that our behaviors are solely dictated by evolutionary forces. Eagly and Wood argue that while evolutionary forces have certainly shaped gender dynamics, we can't overlook the immense influence of cultural and societal factors. Our upbringing, the media we consume, the social norms we navigate, all these nurture aspects profoundly impact how we perceive romance, gender roles, and even our own identities. It's a reminder that we're not just passive recipients of evolutionary programming. We're active participants in a world that's constantly evolving, where cultural narratives and social constructs play a leading role in shaping our romantic lives. So next time you think about gender dynamics in relationships, remember, it's not just a tale of ancient instincts. It's a complex story where nature and nurture co-author every chapter of our lives. Section 3, Behavioral Tendencies, Evolutionary Psychology versus Social Conditioning. All right, let's take a walk on the wild side of evolutionary psychology. We're talking about men, women, and the pursuit of, well, let's call it romantic endeavors. Picture this, a caveman, let's call him Ugg. Ugg's on a mission of love, or at least what passes for love in the Stone Age. He's willing to tolerate just about anything, saber-toothed tigers, rival caveman, even a diet of nothing but roots and berries, all in the hope of winning over his cave woman. Fast forward to today, and it seems some things haven't changed much. Some might say men are still going to great lengths in pursuit of love, or at least a date on Saturday night. Waiting hours in line for concert tickets, pretending to enjoy ballet, enduring the latest rom-com. The list goes on. Evolutionary psychology offers one perspective, that men are hardwired to go to great lengths to spread their genes. It's an argument of quantity over quality, of spreading the love far and wide in the hopes of evolutionary success. But let's not forget our friend social conditioning. Wood and Eagly, in their 2012 work, reminds us that society plays a huge part in shaping our behaviors. What if these acts of tolerance aren't just remnants of our evolutionary past, but also a result of societal expectations and norms? Maybe Ugg's modern descendant isn't just following his genetic programming, but also the unwritten rules of dating in the 21st century. So, while it's amusing to think of our ancestral Ugg braving the wilderness for love, it's important to remember that today's dating scene is a complex dance of both evolutionary impulses and social scripts. So, let's do another mock-up. Welcome back to our imaginary debate show, Genes versus Society, the Great Dating Dilemma. In one corner, we have our reigning champion, genetics, all confident with a DNA helix trophy in hand. And in the other corner, we have the challenger, society, armed with a stack of sociology books and a trendy hashtag. Genetics. I'm the reason you have those dating behaviors. It's all in the genes, baby. Survival of the fittest and all that jazz. Society.
Hold your horses. DNA? It's not all about you. I shape behaviors too. Ever heard of social norms, gender roles, cultural expectations? Yeah, that's me at work.
This mildly amusing back and forth is pretty close to the discussion brought forth by Wood and Eagly in their 2012 work on the biosocial construction of sex differences and similarities. They argue that while genetics play a role, the interplay with societal factors truly shapes our behaviors, especially in the realms of dating and relationships. It's like a dance between what we're born with and what the world teaches us. Our genes provide the basic steps, but society cues the music and sets the stage. We're influenced by everything from cultural norms to media portrayals, from parental advice to peer pressure. What Wood and Eagly are suggesting is that we can't just point to nature or nurture alone. It's the dynamic relationship between the two that creates the complex mosaic of human behavior. Our dating rituals, the way we pursue relationships, even our tolerance in romantic pursuits, they're all choreographed by this intricate dance. So who wins this great debate? Well, it's a tie. Both genetics and society play crucial roles in shaping how we love, date, and connect. Section 4. Raising Standards and Expectations. As we venture further into the labyrinth of love and relationships, let's pause for a moment at a peculiar crossroads, the intersection of expectations and reality in 21st century dating. Picture this, a mock infomercial titled, "Raising Your Dating Standards, the 21st Century Guide." There's an overly enthusiastic host proclaiming, "Tired of swiping left? Upgrade your dating life with our patented high standards." But here's the thing. In our quest for better relationships, have our standards evolved or just become a list of unrealistic demands? It's like we're ordering a custom-made partner off a menu. Picture this. We're seated at the cafe of companionship, perusing the menu with the discernment of a Michelin star critic. Our order? "Yes, I'll take the effortlessly gorgeous, eternally supportive with just the right mix of girl next door and runway model, please. Add a dash of culinary wizardry, a master's degree in understanding guy time, and for the love of all that is sacred, an innate ability to enjoy sports as much as I do. Oh, and can we ensure she's low maintenance, but looks like she stepped off a fashion magazine cover? Perfect, thanks."
And I'd love the emotionally intelligent, ruggedly handsome with a PhD in listening and a minor in romantic gestures, please. Could you sprinkle in some CEO-level ambition mixed with the soul of a philanthropist and the adventurous spirit of a world traveler? And for dessert, a man who appreciates the fine art of conversation, adores my pet as his own, and let's not forget, possesses the rare ability to notice when the living room has been redecorated. Yes, that should do it.
Jokes aside, the notion of raising standards in relationships isn't just about being picky. It's about understanding what genuinely matters in a partner. It's about moving beyond superficial qualities and focusing on what makes a relationship meaningful and sustainable. However, there's a fine line between high standards and unrealistic expectations. In our modern dating world, fueled by social media and dating apps, it's easy to fall into the trap of seeking an ideal that doesn't exist, forgetting that relationships are about personal and interdependent growth, secure attachment styles, flexibility, and embracing imperfections. So, as we navigate these waters, perhaps it's not about raising our standards sky high, but rather redefining them. It's about finding a balance between what we desire and what we truly need. And most importantly, remembering that at the heart of every swipe, like, and date is a real human being, just as complex and nuanced as ourselves. As we chuckle at our 21st century dating quirks, we must recognize a significant force shaping these expectations, the ever-evolving roles of men and women in society. Gone are the days when gender roles were rigidly defined, with men as the breadwinners and women as the homemakers. Today, we're witnessing a seismic shift. Women are CEOs, men are stay-at-home dads, and everything in between. This shift isn't just about careers or societal positions. It's deeply intertwined with how we view relationships. As gender roles evolve, so do our expectations of partners. We're no longer looking for just a provider or a caretaker. We're seeking companionship, emotional support, and shared values. Think about it. With women increasingly in powerful, independent roles, the expectation of finding a knight in shining armor is being replaced by the desire for an equal partner. For men, the stoic, unemotional archetype is slowly giving way to a more open-hearted, emotionally available ideal. These changes are significant, not just in how we choose partners, but in how we navigate relationships. Communication styles, shared responsibilities, and even the dynamics of decision-making are all being reshaped by these evolving roles. This reshaping is all happening faster than most people can keep up. In essence, as the lines of traditional gender roles blur and shift, so do our relationship standards and expectations. It's a fascinating time to be dating, full of challenges, yes, but also opportunities for deeper, more equitable connections. As we turn the page on traditional gender roles, there's another archetype worth discussing, the damsel in distress. Historically, this narrative positioned women as passive recipients of rescue reliant on the knight in shining armor. But as we venture further into the 21st century, this story is getting a major rewrite. Increasingly, men are seeking partners they can respect and trust as equals, partners who are strong physically and mentally, independent, and capable. This shift reflects a broader societal move towards equality and true mutual respect in relationships. However, this change has its challenges. For some women accustomed to traditional roles, being respected and treated as an equal can feel unfamiliar, maybe even unsettling. It's a drastic shift from the sheltered and protected role they've been accustomed to, a role they might not even realize they've been playing. This shift in dynamics, where both partners are seen as equals, can sometimes lead to unexpected misunderstandings. Actions meant to empower and build self-efficacy and respect can be misinterpreted, seen as a threat, or even an attack. I've experienced this firsthand, and looking back, it's both an ironically humorous and somewhat tragic tale. So let me share this bit of a personal story, as it is a perfect example of this societal shift. I was in a relationship with a woman who, on paper, was the epitome of strength and independence. It was remarkably refreshing and reminded me of my time with women in the military as a civil engineer. We were both trained in combat skills, her in Muay Thai for 4 years, I in a mix of different military trainings, and our physical strengths were remarkably similar. We could both deadlift 305 pounds at the time, even though I hadn't lifted a weight in 10 years. You'd think this shared strength would put us on an equal footing. But when I treated her as my absolute equal, a huge sign of respect, especially for someone like myself who had always had to be physically careful with past partners for multiple reasons, things took a turn that, in retrospect, seems almost comically absurd. It's like she was suddenly asked to co-pilot a plane she'd always been a passenger in. Sure, it's empowering, but also incredibly intimidating. And how was I to gauge this? She even wanted to step into the ring and spar with me. Talk about sending mixed messages. It's a vivid illustration of the complexities we face in modern relationships. For women, especially those who embody strength and independence, like that 5'10" partner with combat training, the same INTJ personality type as mine at the time, which mine has now evolved into an INTPA, a long story I addressed in a past episode. The same age to the day, also good at communication, or so I thought, and also pragmatic in our approach to life, again, or so I thought. Adapting to a dynamic where someone is respected and treated as a true equal can be a jarring experience. It's a reminder that outward appearances and physical abilities don't always align with internal perceptions and comfort levels in relationships. This shift calls for a deep understanding and adaptability from both partners. It's about navigating these evolving dynamics with empathy, open communication, and a willingness to explore the nuances of true equality across all paradigms in a relationship. It's a journey, sometimes confusing, sometimes challenging, sometimes humorous, sometimes frustratingly tragic, but always an opportunity for growth and deeper understanding. Let's unpack this a bit more. Understanding equality in relationships is key for men in the modern dating world. It's not about diminishing the care or affection you offer. In fact, treating your partner as an equal can mean being even more communicative, more affectionate, simply more present in the relationship. As you've heard, I've experienced this firsthand. I've been told I was more communicative and affectionate than previous partners, and they liked my quote-unquote calming energy, but still, it didn't quite align with her expectations. It makes you wonder, could it be that previous negative experiences, perhaps with less caring partners, set a different standard? It's tough when efforts towards equality and open communication are met with confusion, or worse, perceived as something negative. Truly authentic individuals often approach communication in a way that's direct and honest, but this can sometimes be misinterpreted by those not familiar with or even threatened by these communication styles. What's meant as clear and straightforward can be seen as blunt or insensitive, leading to confusion or even perceived negativity. Here's a personal curveball that really drives the point home. Picture this: extending an apology, suggesting therapy to work on issues as equals, especially when your partner admits they, quote, can't figure you out, end quote, and seems to find the unknown scary. Then, instead of a face-to-face dialogue or a step towards understanding, you're met with a breakup via email. That experience was a tough pill to swallow. It underscored a crucial aspect of relationships. Embracing equality isn't just about good intentions or theories. It requires practical, mutual effort. It's a two-way street where both partners must actively participate in understanding and growing together. My partner, who tragically passed away in April 30 of 2022, which is coming up in a hard date for me, and our current triad embody all of this. And let me tell you, it is quite refreshing, especially when miscommunications inevitably happen. For women, this evolving landscape might mean reevaluating what they truly seek and value in a partner and relationship. It's about recognizing that being treated as an equal doesn't equate to a lack of care or affection. Instead, it's about mutual respect, self-efficacy, and the willingness to navigate the complexities of a relationship together. Learn to recognize the solid outliers and make a conscious choice to trust that partner. Admittedly, there were 3 times I almost broke up with my current partner in the first 4 months of our relationship. Still, I mentally stepped back, looked at the situation objectively, and realized it was my own traumatized gut instincts trying to protect me from something that objectively was not a pattern. I made the conscious choice to trust her. I'm glad I did. And not for nothing, it only took her 1 therapy session with me and her to understand each other so much better. Shocking, am I right? So, whether it's dealing with past traumas, challenging preconceived notions, or simply learning to communicate better, the journey towards true equality in relationships requires patience, understanding, and a willingness to adapt and grow together. Without that, you'll end up with someone mentally weak you won't respect, someone who will manipulate you, or you'll end up truly alone in the later stages of life. And that is, objectively, from what research tells us, no way to live a life. It's crucial for both men and women to recognize and adapt to these evolving dynamics. If they don't, they'll simply continue to blame each other, be bitter on the inside, and ultimately live an unfortunate life devoid of true partnership. For men, among other things, it means understanding that treating someone as an equal isn't about diminishing care and affection. It's about respect and self-efficacy, which, arguably, some people may not be used to actual respect as equals in a relationship, and it can be jarring. For women, it might involve reevaluating what they seek and value in a partner and relationship. As we move away from the damsel in distress narrative, the landscape of relationships becomes richer and more complex. It's about finding a balance where both partners feel respected, empowered self-efficacy, and valued, not just as a rescuer or rescuee, but as equals on a shared journey. Section 5. Validity of points. As we near the end of our journey through the ever-evolving landscape of modern relationships, let's take a moment to revisit the key points we've explored today and their relevance in our current societal context. First, we tackled the dangers of overgeneralizing gender behaviors, emphasizing that while trends exist, individual variations are significant. We then dove into the realms of evolutionary psychology and social conditioning, understanding that our behaviors and relationships are influenced by both our biological history and our social environment. Imagine for a moment a tree. This tree represents our behaviors and relationships. Its roots, buried deep and ancient, are our evolutionary past, the biological influences that form the base of our actions and reactions. These roots are essential, providing the foundation and nutrients for the tree to grow. But the tree doesn't just rely on its roots. Above ground, it's shaped by its environment, the cultural soil, the social weather, the nurturing sun of personal experiences. These external factors influence how the tree grows, how it branches out, and the quality of fruit it bears. This tree, a blend of deep roots and external influences, is much like us in our romantic endeavors. Our biological instincts lay the groundwork, but it's our societal experiences, our personal growth, and our cultural context that genuinely shape how we love, how we seek partners, and how we build relationships. In this modern world where gender roles are continually evolving and expectations are being redefined, it's important to remember that we are all complex beings, shaped by both our inherent nature and our unique experiences. Embracing this complexity allows us to better understand ourselves and others in the pursuit of meaningful and fulfilling relationships. So, as we navigate the intricate dance of modern romance, let's keep in mind the beautiful diversity of the human experience, a tapestry woven with threads of both our biological heritage and our cultural narrative. As we come to the close of today's journey through the intricate world of modern relationships, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've uncovered. We've traversed the landscape of gender stereotypes, delved into the depths of evolutionary psychology, and navigated the complex currents of social conditioning. We've seen how our perceptions and expectations in relationships are shaped not just by our biological heritage, but also by the ever-evolving tapestry of our cultural and personal experiences. What stands out is the beautiful yet challenging reality of seeking and nurturing relationships in today's world. It's a world where respect, equality, and understanding are more important than ever. A world where embracing our complexities, strengths, and open-heartedness can lead to deeper, more meaningful connections. As we move forward, let's carry with us the lessons we've learned today. Let's strive for empathy in our interactions, openness in our communication, and a willingness to embrace both the similarities and the differences that make each of us unique. Remember, the journey of understanding ourselves and others in relationships is ongoing. It's filled with learning, unlearning, and relearning. It's a journey not just of the heart, but of the mind and soul. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of love, equality, and the human experience. I'm Daniel Boyd, and this has been Information for Life, insights and ideas to navigate your world, tips for greatness. Stay curious, stay open, and let's continue to grow together on this journey of life.